accept the responsibility of the homeowners. See if they can hit the Regina Street sometime overnight.
How are you, man?
What are you at?
See you, Coach. Oh, no.
You all set?
Oh, yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Public Property and Parks Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre.
Present.
Present Counsel Calucci. Absent Counsel Jacutis. Present. Present Counsel Field.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. One item on the agenda, discussion regarding the multi-service center. Attorney Lamanna.
Good evening. Unfortunately, I think as many of you know, we were unable to finalize the deed for the sale of the multi-service center because of environmental issues and some responsibilities and the risk associated with any type of environmental testing on land that may or may not be contaminated. So it would be the recommendation of the law department to return the deposit, but it's also probably appropriate for this committee to contemplate this evening or at a future date, asking the law department to put together an RFP for a lease agreement with the various tenants throughout the building with similar use restrictions that was contained in the RFP for the sale of the land. As you know, one of the floors was for a food pantry, food service. Another floor was for a homeless shelter. There's some governmental offices that are located on the upper floors that the law department can put together an RFP, and it won't be completely dissimilar to the sale. Obviously, it won't be a sale, but it will be a lease of some number of years. It'll be in the discretion of the Public Property Committee and the City Council to determine what's the appropriate number of years for each of the respective separate units within the building. But we certainly could draft it to the wants and desires and the needs of the City of Lynn as determined by the City Council.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Lamanna. So we're looking for a motion to terminate the sale and return the deposit to my brother's table.
So moved.
Motion made, seconded.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Council
Chairperson. I just wanted to express my sentiment that it's unfortunate that this didn't actually work out. I know my colleagues feel very similarly, and if this is the best option, and we haven't really had a chance to explore all options, but if this is the recommendation to make good out of something, obviously the support I have for Brothers Table, I've been certainly vocal about the services they provide across our city. And although they may not be the owner-occupants of this property, for the reasons that Attorney Lamanna stated, I do want to make sure that, in crafting this RFP, that they're eligible to be that tenant that they have been for a long time with us in our city. They have a long-standing history. So I just want to express my sadness at the fact that they won't be owners of the building. That was a wonderful sort of creative way, I thought, until there were roadblocks met. But I think going forward, we have to move in this direction to secure them or whoever is going to occupy that space in a lease situation. So I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that, I personally support my brother's table in our community and would like to see it there long-term. And I hope my colleagues share that same sentiment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor LaPierre. And to that point, there's nothing that says that this can't be revisited down the road. Councilor Jacutis.
I have a question for Attorney Lamanna. If we do put the RFP back out for a lease for my brother's table, how long will this take? Because I know they've been without a lease, and without a lease or owning the building, they can't get certain funding. What would be the timeline, do you think, on this?
I'm confident that the law department can put together an RFP for a lease for consideration for the latest, the second meeting in April, but I'll endeavor to have a document in front of you for April 12th. As I said, I envision how committed this council is and the city is to the services both the Brothers Table provide to the citizens of Lynn, the services that Lynn Shelter provides to the residents of the city of Lynn, that the draft that we would prepare for your consideration would include those same use restrictions to make sure those same services are provided for whoever would be interested in putting a bid together, and there'd be evaluation criteria. So if I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but April 12th, I think, is realistic. At the latest would be April 26th. It would be a 30-day advertising requirement under the Central Register. I believe that by the latest, mid-June, this commission, the committee, the city council, and the mayor could execute a lease. So that's a realistic timeline. The June meeting to be able to evaluate whatever candidates. And as I said, there are multiple tenants in that building in separate spaces, but primarily for as far as square footage, the Brothers Table and the Lynn Shelter take up by far the greatest, but the sheriff's office is there, I think the parole commission's there, maybe misspeaking, Healthy Streets, is that the third tenant? So those are the three largest tenants, but there are some other tenants that could be there. With respect to governmental entities, there is no requirement that they go out for an RFP, so those could be done in a quicker manner with respect to the sheriff's office and any Commonwealth of Massachusetts committee. I can say, even from a legal standpoint, the way the lease is drafted, there is obligations for the city if they chose to go in a different direction. I have no indication that they're going to looking for a different direction at the site, given the valuable services that the Brothers Table and Shelter provides, that the city does not have the ability to shift gears and say that they would like this to be a restaurant or whatnot. So for a number of reasons, those use restrictions, in addition to the services they provide, the needed services to citizens, the legal protections that we made sure that the most needy citizens of Lynn were not going to be without for any period of time unless there was a suitable replacement in another location. And again, I don't see I have not heard of any desire on any city official in any of my private conversations to relocate them out of the Willow Street property. But so mid-June, long story short.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Lamanna. Any further discussion, any questions? The motion was made to terminate the sale and return the deposit to my brother's table. Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Thank you. And is there a motion to direct the law department to craft an RFP to lease the property?
So moved.
Second.
Made, seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any new business? What's the wish of the committee?
Motion
adjourned.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're looking for. Ready?
Ready, so yeah, but that's all right. Licensing committee for March 22nd. Roll call, please.
Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel Hogan. Absent Counsel Lozey. Absent Counsel Net.
Present.
Present Counsel Alanson.
Present.
Present
Council Lapierre, did you want to sit on licensing today? Council Lapierre is present.
Counsel LaPierre.
Present.
Thank you, Councilor.
Okay, we have renewals.
We can have a motion to take them as a whole.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
What's the wish of the committee? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All approved. We have one item under Anning.
The Lynn English Baseball Program, adults only, March 25th, 26th, 27th,
Is that city-
2022.
Is that citywide?
Yes, adults only in the street.
Okay. What's the wish of the committee?
Motion approved.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Councilor Allen. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Any other business? What is the wish of the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilor Hogan. Seconded by who? Thank you, Councilor Hogan.
Late.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Got it? One more minute.
Call the public safety meeting to order. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Present.
President Counsel Field?
Present.
President Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
President Counsel Chakutis? Present. President Counsel Alanson?
Present.
First thing on the agenda.
We have a constable appointment, Anthony Philip Santola, 8 Prescott Road in Lynn.
Is he here? That's okay. Did everybody have a chance to review this?
Yep. Motion approved.
Motion to approve, second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Alanson?
Yes.
Is there anything else on the agenda?
No new business.
Motion to
Other
adjourn.
business? Motion to adjourn, second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present.
Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. And Madam Clerk, could you read the laid over from last meeting?
Yep, we have two orders laid over from March 8th, one $69,077.58 from the account of reserve to fund sick buybacks per the collective bargaining, and $25,000 from the planning expense to the Brick Cedar Pond to fund city portion of MEMA grant for mitigation of flooding.
So what is the wish of the committee?
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Could you read the new transfer,
We
please?
have a new transfer of $293.71 to the account of veterans' prior year bills to fund an invoice received after cleanup warrant done and the FY end close process began.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Certified funds, please.
We have a certify $100,000 to ISD for the installation of energy-efficient lighting upgrades at Keening Park. This is an earmark from the state delegation.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Orders, please.
We have an order pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A and a half. The City of Lynn hereby accepts a gift of 2 vans to be utilized by the City of Lynn Elder Affairs Department from Cataldo Ambulance Service, Inc. Further ordered that the Comptroller's Office is hereby authorized to take any necessary action to effectuate the purpose of said gift.
What is the wish committee?
Motion
to
approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Is any emergency? No emergency. What is, any new business?
No new business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Counsel Alanson,
Present?
President Counsel Barton,
Present.
President Counsel Chakutis,
Present.
President Counsel Calucci,
Present.
President Counsel Field,
Present?
President Counsel Hogan,
Present.
President Counsel LaPierre,
Present.
President Counsel Lozey, absent Counsel Net,
Present.
President Counsel Stabbed,
Present.
President Counsel Walsh.
Present. We all rise for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance.
Mr. President, if we can remember the Classical family and the Galizzi family on their last.
President, the Valeri family. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Accept the minutes from March 8th.
Yes, sir.
Second?
Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think we're going to ask Councilor Hogan and Councilor Barton to come on up to the podium for 1 second for an award. And the mayor, come on up, Mr. Mayor, he's here.
Good evening. Tonight, we're doing something very special for a very special man in the city of Lynn. And to recognize people that put in almost more than half of their life into something, and that's the youth of our children, the youth of our city, is unreal. This gentleman that we're talking about, I'm going to call him up, and as he comes up, I'm going to keep talking about him because there's a lot to say about this gentleman. But Mr. Duke Wilson, you want to start heading up here, please? I grew up with Duke Wilson for many years, from teenagers all the way up until our adult life now. And just watching him and what he's done consistently for the youth of Lynn. Coaching Pup Warner, he went in as a coach first, stayed on the same squad, which was the B squad for all the years, became the president of the Eastland Pup Warner, became a member of the Eastern Mass Pup Warner, and just stayed in it, like I said, consistently for over 25 years. It was just truly amazing to watch his growth and all the kids that he coached grow up and become something in the city of Lynn. And we have some of them here that have grown up to be some very special people. But what Duke has done just cannot be matched by anyone, just because it's just unbelievable. And I'm really happy to say that he's a good friend, and I'm happy to watch what he did for our youth. So Duke Wilson, thank you very much from the Lynn City Council. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Councilor Hogan, for initiating this recognition. It is really my honor, on behalf of the mayor's office in the city of Lynn, to recognize Coach Wilson. Coaches of youth sports are really unsung heroes in our community. They shape our future in so many ways, and the amount of work and dedication that it goes into to make those programs come alive year after year, the wrangling of the equipment in the beginning of the season and at the end of the season, right, to get back what you need, the preparation of the fields, the hard work that it goes in to get those conditions ready for our kids to have those special moments that they remember the rest of their lives, and to learn those lessons that we rely on leaders like Coach Wilson to instill, so that we have the potential that we do as a city for people to work hard, to care about their community, to care about one another, to have their teammates back, to have their city back. And we're just so lucky to have a coach like Duke in the midst of our community. Thank you so much, Duke.
Thanks again. Ross, great job.
Coco's got to teach Wayne how
Yeah, Wayne, Coco, can you help Wayne with that for a second?
Wayne how to do a selfie.
Problem with the selfies. Should teach him. All right, communications.
We have a council appointment to the Pine Grove Cemetery Commission, Rob Smith, 61 Park Street, Lynn, Massachusetts.
Motion to approve. A motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Do a roll call.
Yes. Counsel Alan
Yes.
Rob Smith,
Rob Smith.
Counsel Barton,
Rob Smith.
Bob Smith.
Smith, Counsel Chakutis,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Calucci,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Field,
Coach Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Hogan,
Big Rob Smith.
Big Rob, Counsel LaPierre,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Lozey,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Net,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Starbird,
Rob Smith.
Rob Smith, Counsel Walsh.
Rob Smith. All right. You want to come up, Mr. Smith? Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you all. First, I'd like to thank you all for trusting me in this position. I won't let you down. I'll go at it like I do everything with 110%. Thank you, Councilwoman Chakutis, for the recommendation. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I won't let you down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unintended. No
Public
pun.
hearings.
We have a proposed ordinance relative to the RDNA technology in the city of Lynn.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Come on up to the podium. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? State your name and address for the record.
Hi, Daniel Smith. I'm the policy director in the mayor's office, 64 Market Street, Lynn. Thank you, Council President Walsh, and member of the council, for allowing me to speak today in support of this ordinance. I'd also like to thank the law department and public health who worked with us as we put together this ordinance. This ordinance is really part of a broader economic development strategy to take advantage of the life sciences growth in the Boston and Cambridge area and really absorb some of that growth in the city of Lynn. We see other municipalities that have proposed or adopted similar ordinances really being able to take advantage of that growth. Places like Beverly, Malden, and Revere have adopted similar ordinances, and they're seeing life sciences companies and firms willing to put their feet down in these communities. So essentially, this ordinance adopts the National Institute of Health's guidelines for research involving RDNA. It also ensures that the city has the local infrastructure and capacity to really enforce those guidelines, including forming the Lynn Biosafety Committee and other protocols. So the Lynn Biosafety Committee will establish procedures and policies to oversee and enforce these guidelines. It will also review permit applications from prospective life science companies and firms who are intending to use RDNA. And this would be a 5-member committee. There would be the CEO of Lynn Community Health Center, the public health director or their designee, and 3 other members who have experience in scientific research and the biomedical field, similar to other municipal boards and commissions. They would be appointed by the mayor using the same process we put in place to staff those committees. Any use of RDNA in the city of Lynn would require a permit from this committee. Applicants would submit completed applications with all the relevant documents to the committee, and the committee would review those applications, those documents, and conduct site inspections with a final recommendation whether to approve or deny. There would also be fees and fines associated with breaking these ordinances or so. And these were established by surveying other communities who have adopted similar guidelines. And in terms of safety, labs and biomanufacturing facilities doing this type of research must conform to rigid and pretty strict regulations and guidelines. If not, they're subject to fines and potential legal repercussions locally. And facilities that don't follow these practices would lose their standing with the federal government, including the FDA and the National Institutes of Health, but they'd also lose their funding as well. And in terms of, so facilities are categorized on their biosafety levels, ranging from the lowest risk of biosafety level 1 to the highest of biosafety level 4. 95% of all labs in the country are categorized as biosafety levels 1 and 2, and those would be the companies that we're hoping to attract to the city of Lynn. And there are very few biosafety level 3 labs operating in the state. Almost all are operating within states, state universities and colleges. That being said, I'd like to thank you all again for allowing me to speak in support of this ordinance, and I ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Mr. President, my name is Jim Cardell. I live at Mary Ellen Drive, a lifelong resident of Lynn. I'm in charge of economic development for the city. I would like to speak in favor of the ordinance as it moves us to the highest standards that Mass Bio Council has. EDIC is a member of Mass Bio Council on behalf of the city of Lynn. We are only one of 2 in the entire state of Massachusetts that has a municipality membership there. We need jobs. These are high-paying jobs. For the most part, they do not require advanced degrees. And as the previous speaker mentioned, that there are cities all around us, Beverly, Malden, Revere, that have already reached platinum level. This ordinance will allow us to reach that platinum level. And as companies look to move out of Boston, life science companies look to move out of Boston, Lynn is prime from the cost of real estate to the workforce that we have. So I just wanted to speak in favor. I strongly support this. I hope you're in favor of it. It will create jobs that we desperately need. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anybody in opposition? Yep. Come on up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name's Brian Hickey. I'm a Lynn resident, 21 Uphill Lane, and I'm here to speak against it. So there's a lot of, I mean, obviously there's a pretty serious, inherent sticker shock with this. With if you look up what a biosafety level 3 lab allows, it's some pretty dangerous stuff. West Nile virus, tuberculosis. I haven't seen a whole comprehensive list. Also COVID-19. And what's even more disconcerting is that, just by the nature of the rDNA, the fact that it's, genetically modified, this would permit genetically modified strains of COVID-19 into the community. I think that, given current events for the past few years, we might want to give pause to think about that. And not to mention what else may be going on. And what's more disconcerting than that even is the penalties. I know everyone's saying, oh, it's going to be held to the highest standards, everything. First of all, I think public faith in the alphabet soup agencies like the NIH and CDC is at a historic low. If you really get into the for instance, just last week, the CDC had to revise their COVID statistics again. They just keep on getting it wrong over and over again. So I don't think anyone really trusts those agencies. But the penalties that I read in the proposed ordinance seem extremely weak. They don't seem like they're going to do anything to keep anyone safe. Like, it's a $300 fine for a violation, I mean, that's like, I mean, that's a lot for an individual, but for a company, I mean, that's negligible. I mean, if these companies lost $300, you know, every hour, they might not even realize it. That, you know, so that's, and the, you know, the ordinance talks about, you know, it says it's not a hypothetical that there could be a problem. The ordinance itself is what mentions that, you know, a threat to the public. There may be a threat to the public from these facilities. So if, I mean, you know, if these penalties are there to, these financial penalties are there to keep, you know, the people safe, if it's potentially, you know, if we're potentially equating dollars to lives, then $300 is pretty small, don't you think? I mean, like, we just shut down the world economy for COVID-19. You know, that was a $1 trillion price tag. I mean, don't you think that, you know, the penalty should be, I mean, you know, I don't know what the legal precedent would be, but I would think more in the 7-figure range. You know, I think it should be over $1 million. Wouldn't be unreasonable. But also even more disturbing than that is they have 24 hours to report a problem. It's kind of garbled the way the ordinance is written. It says immediately or no later than 24 hours. So, I mean, that's kind of a contradiction. I mean, you know, immediate and 24 hours is quite a different quite a different time span, and it has to be reported to the director of the public health panel that this ordinance would create. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, you know, if you have a potential life-threatening problem, why don't you immediately, you know, not in, you know, when you feel like it, but immediately, as in that instant, contact emergency services. I mean, who would you call if you had like a tuberculosis vial, you know, drop out of someone's pocket? And you know, I don't, you know, I'm not a medical professional. I couldn't, you know, speak exactly to that. But I mean, you know, what if we have genetically modified COVID-19 here in the in the Lynn facility, and someone walks out with it on their shoe? I mean, like, I mean, who do you even call? I mean, has anyone consulted the emergency services, like the police and fire? I mean, would you have to call the National Guard, FEMA? I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem to have been addressed in the ordinance at all. It's just that you're going to report it to the panel, and I mean, you know, what are they going to do? It doesn't seem very well thought out to me. And give me a second there. And yeah, I understand. You know, it's not, you know, that financial. Obviously, yeah, people want jobs. You know, everyone wants jobs. You need to make sure. You know, I'm not trying to disincentivize a financial opportunity for Lynn, but at the same time, I mean, you know, at what cost? I mean, if we're just, I mean, I don't think that would want, you know, some hazardous, you know, chemical manufacturing place. Maybe those don't belong in an urban center, you know, or like a nuclear power plant. I mean, you know, people generally don't want to be at a, you know, live next to a nuclear power plant, generally speaking. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's a biohazard level 3, then I mean that, you know, it's just how dangerous this is going to get. And then it's like something that I'm worried about is like, okay, so I know that, you know, labs like this already exist and whatnot. Or I think my understanding was going to be a manufacturing facility, but, you know, regardless, I know that, you know, places that handle this kind of material already exist. But, you know, these are in places like Cambridge and you know, like they're offshoots of, you know, like the internationally famous, you know, research institutions like Harvard and MIT and all those good places. And, you know, if those have just organically, you know, arisen, then, I mean, you know, they do all sorts of crazy stuff down there that, you know, we don't really know about. And I mean, that is what it is, I guess. But I mean, I don't know if anyone here has any experience in the manufacturing industry, working on the floor or in anything. I work in construction myself. And I mean, the mistakes people make are, you know, they'll blow your mind. I mean, mistakes happen all the time. And I mean, you know, that's bad enough as it is, but those are usually isolated mistakes. But if we have a problem that involves a contagious disease, potentially a genetically modified contagious disease, I mean, I think we've all heard that story before. I think that might be something we should really give a pretty damn second look at. And, you know, I do wonder that, what's the difference between a lab where at a place like MIT where someone's dedicated their life to the study of something versus just a manufacturing facility where, it's just a job, which is great. I don't want to take a job away from anyone, but maybe if this money is available, maybe we can, do it without, without the contagious disease aspect. Maybe that's a little much. If you have someone who's a PhD at a research institution handling, a bio level 3, then so I have more faith in that person than someone who just, maybe took a 2-year course or maybe just took a couple hour long course or something, and now they're out there handling stuff that could, do God knows what. I think that's pretty intense. And something else so my understanding is this is somehow tied into something called like BioConnects. There's like some guy. It's basically Build Back Better money. It's federally funded. Is my understanding is that's where all this is coming from. So my concern with that is that if there's no true like market impetus for this, if there's not a real clear demand for the stuff, if it's just kind of pushing around political money, then as political fads change and as elected officials change in Washington and the federal government, is this money still going to be here? Because the lab is still going to be here, the biomanufacturing facility is going to be here, but if we can't guarantee that it still has the money to operate safely, then that becomes a very serious problem. Nothing worse than a dilapidated, poorly cared for industrial facility. My uncle used to work at the New England Power coal plant before it was torn down, and nearing the end of the plant's lifespan, it was bought up by an overseas company. I believe there was a company out of England, and they just didn't keep with the upkeep, and what ended up happening was they had a really bad accident where a line burst and someone died a pretty gruesome death. So that's bad enough as it is, but now if you magnify that with the whole element of contagious diseases, now now the plant or whatever ends up being built is 10-20 years old, and now it's falling apart and they have an accident. It's bad enough if one person or a couple of people get injured, but now if you magnify that and it ends up, we don't know exactly what's going to be handled here.
So we'll give a couple more minutes. Just want to make sure that people get a chance to speak, okay?
Yeah, I'm just wrapping it up anyway. So I think that we need to make sure that there's no I think that needs to be thought of. And the other thing too is one last point is the whole committee for the whole staffing and everything. I just think that we need very, very clear transparency on that about who's selected and why. I'm not accusing anyone or anything, but I just don't want any if it is decided to go through ahead with this, I don't support it. If it does go ahead, I just think that whoever's on the committee needs to be there for intellectual and qualification reasons, and no sweetheart deal, so to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Come on up to the podium, tell us your address and name, please.
Susan Marconi, 29 Copeland Road in Lynn. Okay, I don't have a lot to say really, but it's what I have to say is important. I've lived in the city of Lynn for 25 years, long time. And I know the city of Lynn has had its challenges across the board from, crime rates and safety issues and everything else in between. But this ordinance, and I'm not too familiar with the actual details of this ordinance, but the only small little information I got about this ordinance is this is referring to an ordinance that's going to be using recombinant DNA in the city of Lynn that shall be undertaken only in strict conformity with the guidelines set forth in health regulations promulgated by the City of Lynn Board of Health. Well, under the guidelines are under the National Institute of Health's guidelines for research involving recombinant DNA molecules as published in the Federal Register of May 7th, 1986. Now, I'm well aware that there's tremendous safety implications with the bio level 3 laboratory that you plan to bring in. And I'm sure there's lots of money being generated across the board for this endeavor. But I just want to go over quickly the guidelines of that document, the National Institute of Health guideline about this program. People should be very well aware that what they're intending to do is use this facility primarily to deliberately involve the cloning toxin of molecules by recombinant DNA. This is also going to include deliberate transfer of human genetic material into human participants that will enable integration into the genome and replicate. I'm not sure if people want to know the implications of just that in and of itself, but just to read on further with the NIH guidelines, the NIH concurs that the individual protocol would significantly benefit from the RAC and review that the submission meets one or more of the following criteria. The protocol will use a new vector of genetic material or delivery methodology that represents a first-in-human experience, thus presenting an unknown risk. The protocol relies on preclinical safety data that were obtained using a new preclinical model system of unknown and unconfirmed value. The proposed vector or the gene construct or method of delivery is associated with possible toxicities that are not widely known and that may render it difficult for oversight and federal regulatory bodies to evaluate the protocol rigorously. Just so you know, this is what we're talking about when they're talking about the guidelines, okay? Examples of such experiments is called the transfection of animal products. Experiments that might lead to the creation of novel mechanisms or increased transmission of a recombinant pathogen or production of undesirable traits in any host animal. In such cases, serious consideration should be given to increasing the containment conditions. Okay, so this is what they're talking about when they're doing these duplication transfection experiments. Experiments involving recombinant or synthetic nucleic acid molecules, DNA or RNA, derived therefrom, involving whole animals, including transgenic animals, shall be, the appropriate containment shall be determined by the Institutional Biosafety Committee. Now, I know they're going to be setting up all kinds of committees to oversee all of this, but I think from a moralistic standpoint, everybody should be asking themselves if this is the direction that we want to go when we've just seen the massive pandemic across the entire world with the speculative process and speculative problem that this organism may have been genetically manipulated from a certain laboratory. So we need to think about that moralistically and ethically as human beings if you want to continue going down this road. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Hi, I'm Shannon. I just scribbled down some quick notes.
Shannon, can you give us your address for the record?
I gave it
please?
to the clerk. I'm not comfortable giving it to whoever's here tonight. I don't know all these
Thank you.
people. They're not giving me their name and addresses, so the clerk has it. But anyway, I'm here as a resident of Lynn, and I'm quite concerned. This smells to me, it reeks to high heaven of some really disgusting backroom deals happening. I heard proposal. I also heard that we're already a member of the Mass Bio Council, and there are only 2 municipalities that are members. How is Lynn already a member if this is a proposal? What are you guys up to? Who's involved and what are you doing? There needs to be more transparency. You're trying to bring a level 3 biolab into Lynn, and you're telling me about what's happening in Beverly and Revere, but you're not telling me, sir, I don't know where he went, and I don't even know where he's from. I'd like to know how much he was paid to sell this to the city of Lynn as an opportunity. It's being sold as an opportunity to the city of Lynn. We're underserved. Maybe we want to be underserved of, biohazards. Maybe that's what we want to be underserved. You're looking for a community that has immigrant population, working class people, too busy to know what's going on here because they're busy working 2-3 jobs, trying to put a roof over their head, and now you're going to sell this as an economic opportunity? Is that how they got Chernobyl, the people of Chernobyl, to allow that disaster to come into their town? This is reprehensible, and I can't even believe that we're here tonight talking about a level 3 lab. There's very few. You know why there's very few? Because they're dangerous. And how dare you bring this as a quote-unquote proposal with a $300 fine? I could pay you a $300 fine. Are you kidding me? This lab is going to roll right through this city with their dangerous habits and lack of monitoring. I don't see anything in here being told us about how they're going to keep the people of Lynn safe. You want to tell me that these jobs don't require advanced degrees? Is that wise? Is that really wise, you guys? Really? Are we that dumb that you just want to push this through? I want to know, is this a proposal? I'd like to know what's really going on. Why are we a part of the Mass Bio Council? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I'm just rolling from off the top of my head here what I heard. There are strict regulations and subject to fines. Is that the $300 fine that I already mentioned? There's a 5-member committee. And there's one person that sounded like they were from a health center or a hospital. Do they know anything about playing with viruses? I'm not sure. I don't know that an admin of a hospital is qualified. Is the mayor of Lynn qualified to choose the other 4 members? This isn't something that we look to hack positions for. I don't know that people understand how dangerous when we're talking about a level 3. That's why these are not in other communities. That's why there's so few of them. This makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and I hope everybody else too, because I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people that are busy at work trying to put a roof over their families' heads right now. So I want to know, who here is qualified to assess these applications? Do you have the advanced degree that these jobs don't require to make sure that there's not a disaster coming to the city of Lynn? And do you want your name all over it? Because I will not rest if you think you're bringing those here. Because I live here, and I'm not going to be okay with you trying to bring some biohazard into the city. I will be active every single day in the streets, finding and connecting people and educating them about what their elected officials are trying to do. I don't want to hear about the economic impacts. I want to hear about the safety measures. I didn't hear one thing about the monitoring program, and I don't know that there's anyone here to qualify it. Anyone qualified to even evaluate it. So I just want to say, if it wasn't clear, I'm fiercely opposed, and I will not rest if you think you're bringing this to Lynn.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Come on up, speak your name and your address, please.
Hi, thank you. My name is Barbara Caulfield. I live on Bowler Street in Lynn. As a lifelong Lynn resident and also a 38-year federal employee, I have several concerns and am in opposition to this ordinance. First of all, like I said, as a 38-year career federal employee, I have seen over and over and over the failures of the federal government, and I think several of them have been in the news. The FDA regarding the meat industry, overseeing the meat industry, of course the CDC and the COVID fiasco that's everyone's lived through for the last 2 years. So I really have no confidence in any of the federal oversight organizations that would have oversight for a lab such as this. Another concern I have is regarding the transparency. No one that I spoke to who lives in the city knew anything about this. I think this is critical enough for that really every Lynn citizen should have a say in this. Yes, as someone brought up, it might have some good economic impact on the city. But again, I would hope that if a lab like this were to open in Lynn, that the jobs, that the employees would be highly trained, specially trained. And like it or not a lot of Lynn residents, maybe a few, have those kind of credentials. I'm also concerned about the credentials of the board that would oversee such an organization. Again, where would they find their credentials? If you're relying on the federal government, I don't put too much credence in that. And then finally, again, someone mentioned before, I'll bring it up, a $300 fine for noncompliance or violation seems woefully inadequate for a company that would probably make millions, if not billions of dollars. And then, so what's $300? A drop in the bucket to say, sorry, we won't do it again, when hundreds of thousands of lives could be adversely impacted. So I thank you again. I think that the citizens really need to know more about this, and there should be more transparency More detail in the ordinance about the credentials and the requirements of anyone if there were ever to happen, but I think at this time, this should not happen in the city of Lynn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Come on up to the podium. Your name and address, please, for the record. No, come on up to the podium so the people at home can hear you, please.
Anyone else with Paris? Mr. Chairman, I read an article on the item some time back about this rDNA, and I'm a biology minor, and I did some bacteria samples and acid tests at Westland Creamery. I was curious about this. Sounds like an interesting undertaking, rDNA. I was curious, what's it all about? What is this rDNA? This sounds like a good opportunity for the city of Lynn. And so I come here, I'm outside, I'm waiting, I'm here early, I witness Rob, my old buddy, Rob Johnson getting his award, and came here and a fellow got up and he spoke. And I'm saying to myself, is this guy talking about rDNA, young fellow? I could not understand one word he said. I don't know about you folks, but I couldn't understand one word he said. So I can't support, if it's important to you, you will say every word as slowly and as clearly as possible so that every person in the room can hear what you're saying. When someone...
Excuse me. All questions go through the chair. Any more out person, have you leave. Thank you.
My point is, if someone's
Sorry.
not speaking clearly, I can't vote in favor of what he's saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone else speak in opposition? Seeing on that part of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the council? We have roll. Do you have any motions, questions, comments?
Mr. President,
Pelosi.
I'm a bit apprehensive about this, and I'll tell you that I would like to see more testimony from the planning department and others. I've worked for over 30 years for a regulatory agency, and I'm confident that there are more safeguards than what we're hearing tonight about a $300 fine. There is federal and state oversight, whether you're pro-vax, anti-vax. We wouldn't have vaccines if it were not for these type of labs throughout this country. So I'm not adamantly opposed to it. However, I would feel better if we could have more information, answers from the planning department that was the proponent of this ordinance. So either I would prefer a motion to table.
Second.
If
We have a motion, it's non-debatable.
councilors may.
We have a motion to table.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call.
Counsel Arlensug?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
No.
No.
Motion tabled. Next public hearing.
We have a proposed amendment to the ordinance regarding parking for a home occupation business.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? That part of the hearing is closed. It's the wish of the council. Councilor Fu.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. Any discussion, questions?
We also-
So
Councilor
Attorney
Fu.
Lamanna can just explain it so it's clear to everyone. Thank you, Attorney Lamanna.
So this is an interesting anomaly here. If I worked for Jim Lamanna electrical company, I could, if I worked for Brian LaPierre's electrical company, I could take Brian LaPierre's truck home and park in my driveway, and that would be lawful under the way the ordinance is written. However, if you run your own business out of your home, our home occupancy section of our zone ordinance prohibits any vehicles associated with the truck. So there is a double standard. Employees are allowed to bring work trucks home. We're talking not large tractor trailers. We're talking mid-size trucks that, under this ordinance as advertised and proposed, is 14,000 pounds. You would be able to bring your vehicle home, whether it's an electrical van or a pickup truck associated with your work. There is part of engaging a zoning enforcement officer in the city of Lynn and working odd hours after typical 9 to 5 day. We are finding more and more violations of the zone ordinance with respect to the one-man sole proprietorship, electricians, plumbers, landscapers and such that are bringing vehicles home and they're being cited. I think, as you all know, there is a lack of parking here in the city, and we see commercial vehicles on public streets. So this would treat everybody on a uniform platform. You are allowed to bring one vehicle home, regardless if you're owner or an employee, as long as it's as I said, mid-sized truck at 14,000 pounds as proposed, and that was recommended by Mike Donovan. I would note, just for the record, a mid-sized truck can go up as high as 23,000 pounds. As a non-truck owner myself, I defer to some of the members of this council who I believe a few own pickup trucks themselves. But that's the primary purpose of this, is to treat everybody the same and not punish someone that's a sole owner of a business, and a larger business owner with multiple employees would be allowed to have their employees send trucks home with no repercussions and no citations.
Thank you. Council Phil.
And I just want to clarify and point out, point out what Attorney Lamanna said, is it's not creating like a contractor yard where business owners are bringing multiple vehicles and storing them on their property. It's one personal commercial vehicle for the owner under the 14,000 pounds or under. And that's what we're cleaning up this ordinance, so that it's easier for ISD or whoever has to enforce this ordinance throughout the city. And it's making it, like Attorney Lamanna said, a fairer for the business owner, where they can park it in their neighbor's yard if their neighbor worked for them, but they can't park it in their own yard. Thank you.
That makes sense. I just want to say that I've had some phone calls from people who, actually, the current ordinance, the way it is right now, doesn't allow for the business owner to bring his work truck home. So I know we've gotten some calls from some independent plumbers and stuff like that, so I appreciate us working on this. Council Staub.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions. If it's LaPierre Electric and his business address is not his home, is he currently allowed to bring a work vehicle home?
There would be. So this is specific, not to pick on Council LaPierre Electric, but this is specific to individuals that are owning, working out of their home. So we have a process that you, instead of having a commercial standalone shop for your electrical business, these are for whether it's electrician or plumber, whatever. If they're working out of their home, as the home occupant, you need a home occupation permit from the ISD, and to the extent you get that, you follow the law, you get your home occupancy permit, you're running the business out of your home, you're taking calls, going out to service, whether it's electrical outlet or plumbing, a washer or dryer, you're not allowed to park that car in your home if you have a home occupancy permit.
Okay. And my second question, thank you, is if it's LaPierre and Sons Electrical, and Dylan and Owen both have vans along with their dad, they can only bring one of them home and park it in their driveway, correct?
One vehicle per business. Okay. And I think it's important to note this, in addition to the weight classification, it has to be a vehicle consistent to personal use. So if it's a tractor trailer, you wouldn't go to the mall or to a restaurant in a vehicle, then certain types of vehicles, tow trucks, you wouldn't be driving and such. So it has to be consistent with the neighborhood. So it would be no different than someone that's nothing to do with a tradesman, just prefers a pickup truck. It would need to be consistent weight-wise, and it would be a type of vehicle that is consistent with personal use on a weekend or after work.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Lamanna.
Just add one thing, that the planning department held a meeting this evening, and they voted unanimously to move this forward also. So, any other questions? Council Alonso.
Attorney Lamanna, I'm sorry. I should have said that you just stay there. Mr. President, you mentioned that currently our ordinance, there's no ordinance allowing them to park their vehicles now.
If I remember right, Jim, if you are the business owner, you can't bring the vehicle home. But if you're an employee of a business, you can park one vehicle now, is that correct?
One vehicle in a driveway on your property. So an employee
Right.
is treated differently than the owner.
Yep.
So my question is, it's happening now. So what is the city doing? I mean, we've been ticketing.
So the city, I
this
know
trust
that
over
they've
and
been
over
ticketing
again?
people, and I know that this is what brought this to our attention to work on this tonight.
Right. Okay, you basically answered my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions? The wish of the council?
There's one more.
Just to clarify that, for Councilor Allen, that's the problem, and that's why this did get addressed, because ISD has a hard problem trying to figure out if the occupant, if the homeowner is the business owner or not. They're going out in the middle of the night, and they're seeing LaPierre's electric truck parked in someone's yard, and they don't know if it's his employee or if it's him. So that's helping the ISD, enforce the actual ordinance.
So the employees should still get tickets from, for example, if a constituent would call, this truck's always parked here all the time, and he doesn't live here.
No. So right now, the way the ordinance reads is the employee can bring a vehicle home. I'm using electrician, plumbing as an example, right? Those type of vehicles, vans, smaller trucks, they're parking them in the driveway. They're okay to do that.
Right.
If you are the business owner and you bring that same van home, let's say you're just a plumber and you have your van, you can't bring it home. So there's no way to disseminate between whose it is. It's very confusing. We're trying to tighten it up and make sure that there are people that do deserve tickets because they're parking tractor-trailer trucks next to single-family homes. So we're trying to make that a little more amendable.
It's clear.
Yep. Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could just add, this is just in the driveway. So, people regardless cannot park a commercial vehicle on the street, period, regardless, owner, employee, son, daughter, whatever.
Correct. All right. Any other questions? We have a motion?
One question, Councilor Orr.
Brian,
Does this apply to limo
like-
service also? Limo, a Cadillac Escalade, a limo service? Will this fall under that?
Ask Mr. Lamont if he can come up again.
Under 14,000.
That would be an appropriate stipulation, as you know, that for taxis and limos and liveries, they apply and they are licensed through the License Commission. You have to put an address down of how you're operating that business. If someone wanted to apply to the License Commission, run a livery service, and they list 22 Breed Street as their property, you're implicitly giving him permission to park one vehicle there. Obviously, the typical livery company has a location somewhere in the city and that they identified that's where they're going to be storing all their cars, but you would have an opportunity to approve on an individual basis a livery license in a residential area for one car, whether it be a sedan or a limousine, but it has to be a vehicle for personal use. And I'm not sure a stretch limo would be a vehicle you'd be taking to get ice cream. So that wouldn't get protected by this ordinance.
Attorney Lamanna.
Councilor Lozey, yep.
Just to clarify, this ordinance, would it become more permissive or more restrictive regarding the parking of small vans and trucks, commercial trucks, that people bring home?
This would be more permissive than what's on the books currently. And this was originally drafted probably 10 or 15 years ago with the help of the Chamber of Commerce. They were trying to make sure that persons that wanted to run a business out of their home would not interfere with the residential character of the neighborhood. So, for example, the home occupancy section of the zone ordinance today says that you cannot have customers come to your house and have a valid home occupancy. So this is designed more for a plumber or electrician that will get a phone call saying, I got a problem with my garbage disposal, I have a problem, I got a leaky faucet, or my downstairs lights aren't working. They're taking the call, people are coming to their home to be serviced, but necessarily as part of certain trades businesses, and that may go to landscaping and general contractors and smaller trucks that do smaller jobs. A regular sedan, four-door sedan, isn't suitable. And to operate this business, these same people are bringing home, whether it's a pickup truck or a van, to their home, and currently they're not allowed to do that, which
Thank
makes
you.
it difficult. Yep.
Thank you, Attorney Lamanna, and I'm in favor of this ordinance because of that reason. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, or we have a motion?
Second.
Approved. We have a second. Roll call.
Counsel Alanson?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes. Motion carries. Next public hearing.
The next public hearing is a petition of Santander Bank at 45-65 Market Square for a sign permit.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor, come up to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening, councilors. For the record, Ricardo Souza from Prince LaBelle Thai, 1 International Place, Boston, Massachusetts, here in behalf of the petitioner, Santander Bank.
Okay.
Councilors, we're here tonight with a petition by Santander Bank to request permission from this body to install and maintain more than 2 signs that are permitted under the ordinance. The nature of the ordinance is that this body is allowed to permit a business to operate more than 2 signs in the event that there's either a regular shape of the lot or the placement of the building requires more than 2 signs. In this case, the shape of the lot itself, which is irregular, and it's next to the rotary, as you know, together with the placement of the building, which is at the corner of the lot, requires more signage for visibility and also for direction for our customers so that they can properly know how to come in and out of the lot, how to access the front of the building itself and the bank itself, and also how to actually direct themselves towards the ATMs themselves. And so that's the nature of the petition tonight. We would respectfully request your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a seat. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other people looking to speak in favor? Anyone else want to wish to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council? Councilor Hogan.
Yes, I went down and reviewed the plans and reviewed where the signs were going to be, and I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion, seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Alanson?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton? Yes. Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes. Motion carries. Public hearings will be set down.
Set down a public hearing amending the ordinance establishing the Lynn Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Abatement Program.
What is the wish of the council?
Set it down, motion to approve.
Set it down. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries. Next public hearing?
Set down a public hearing establishing the City of Lynn Gannon Municipal Golf Course Revolving Fund under the control of the Park Commission.
Motion to approve.
Motion to table.
Second.
A motion to table. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Tabled. Next public hearing to be set down.
Set down a public hearing establishing the City of Lynn Traffic Island Maintenance Revolving Fund under the direction and control of the DPW.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to set it down.
Motion set down, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next public hearing to be set down.
Set down a public hearing establishing the City of Lynn Disability Commission pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8J.
The wish of the council.
Motion to set down.
Motion set down. We have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Set it down. Next public hearing to be set down.
Set down a public hearing establishing the City of Lynn Historical Commission pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section D.
It's the wish of the council. The motion is second down. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Set it down. Next hearing to be set down.
Petition of National Grid for a grant of location to install joint-owned and sole-owned poles at the following locations: Chatham and Essex Street, 168 Commercial Street, Harvest Street, Easton Ave, Oakville and Aspen Street, Webster Street, and Oakwood Ave.
The wish of the council. Motion is set down. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries to set down. Any other public hearings be set down?
Nope, that's it.
All right, we're on to committees. Public property. Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Discussion regarding the multi-service center. Motion to terminate the sale and return the deposit to my brother's table. Motion to direct the law department to craft an RFP to lease the property. Unanimous vote of the committee. Motion to approve.
We have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Is that it? Any other business? Okay.
Thank you.
Licensing, Counselor Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a unanimous vote by the committee. I make a motion to approve that.
Motion approved. We have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Public Safety, Counselor Barton.
Unanimous vote of committee, motion to approve.
Second. Motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Ways and Means, Counselor Net.
Yes, Mr. President, all unanimously voted by the committee to approve for transfers. I make a motion to accept. Thank you.
Read those transfers into the records.
$293.71 to the account of veterans' prior year bills to fund invoice received after cleanup warrant done and the FYN close process began. Certify $100,000 to ISD for the installation of energy-efficient lighting upgrades at Keeney Park. This is an earmark from the state delegation. And the final one is an order pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A and a half. The City of Lynn hereby accepts a gift of 2 vans to be utilized by the City of Lynn Elder Affairs Department from Cataldo Ambulance Service, Inc. Further order that the Comptroller's Office is hereby authorized to take any actions necessary to effectuate the purpose of said gift.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. We have a second. Roll call. Right.
Counsel Alan Sug?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton? Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Starbed?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes. All right. Do we have any old business?
Mr. President?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just want to acknowledge that Mr. Gomez is here from Senior Services and a representative from Cataldo.
Yeah, thank you for that. I missed that.
Okay.
Mr. Gomez, can you come up for 1 second? And the gentleman who's representative from Cataldo, if you come up to the podium for 1 minute. Just want to say that, they've been working really hard on trying to get some vans for the seniors with Councilor Jakutis and trying to. It's all Chris. All right. It's all Chris. So if we could go up to the podium up here, Chris, okay? Just.
He wants your job.
That's why we listen. Some days you might have it. So we just want to thank you, and if you can tell us a little bit, just quick about what the vans maybe, or just kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. So originally it was going to be 2 vans because Chris had told us how many patients he needed to move or how many clients he needed to move on a daily basis. We're doing something better, right? Because 2 vans takes 2 drivers to move the same amount of residents. So we're actually giving them a minibus, which actually falls just under the CDL, which holds 10 ambulatory and 2 wheelchair. I actually have a picture of it that I just showed Chris that he's going to get to see on Friday, where that's only going to take now 1 driver to move just as many people. So where we can put 12 people in a bus rather than 6 people in one van, 6 people in another, it actually reduces the amount of payroll that you need to actually move these clients back and forth. So it is going to be 1 bus instead of 2 vans.
Nice, thank you.
We're happy to give back to the city of Lynn and its senior population for sure.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. You want to say anything, Chris? I mean, you're knocking it out of the park here, guy. Just want you to know that. Doing a good job.
Yeah, we were having a real hard time trying to find any vans. The chip shortage and the pandemic, everything was on back order for at least like 1.5 to 2 years. So this is going to help a great deal. And we already know seniors have like accessibility issues with transportation. So this will help a great deal, and we're really happy.
Yeah, well,
Thank
thank you for everything you're doing. Appreciate it. Councilor Jakutis.
I just want to say thank you to Cataldo Ambulance, and I want to say a special thank you to Chris Gomez for all the hard work he's put into looking for vans, working with the senior center. He started his position, no senior center, no seniors at the time, because it was COVID. I give him all the credit in the world right now for what he's done for this city and the seniors.
All right. Great job. Thank you. Do we have any old business?
No old business.
We have new business?
We have the Linfield Street Improvement Order of Taking.
Okay,
Session.
Jim, can you elaborate on that a little bit for us, please?
I think as the council is aware, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has granted the city a significant amount of money to do improvements up and down Linfield Street. It's a multi-year project that will be primarily paid, not almost entirely paid, for the state. Much of Linfield Street is a state roadway. The city's obligation with respect to this is to get temporary easements in a handful of scenarios, some permanent takings to allow these improvements to be effectuated. All of the residents that have been affected have received one notice from the Law Department. I know City Solicitor Markopoulos and Kathleen Bellevue have been working, Commissioner Andy Hall have been working tirelessly for more than 6 months. We're regularly in contact with affected landowners that go and meet Commissioner Hall, who takes the time to explain where the property lies in respect to what phase of the project, approximately what period of time the construction will take place near their property, what they expect in situations where it's a temporary easement for placement of tools and access in order to perform the work. In many of these cases, as you've seen in the attachment that was provided to you, there would be some monetary compensation that will be provided to the affected landowners, but this is a tremendous opportunity to one of the 4 or 5 major thoroughfares to get in and out of the city of Lynn, to make some much-needed traffic improvements. And in order for this to happen, as I said, there needs to be some permission on a temporary basis for workers to access private property, and then again, in much rarer circumstances, there may be some people that lose a few hundred square feet of property, and in all situations, there will be some type of monetary compensation that's been established by the assessor's office, putting in a value on what's being lost.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you for that. Any questions? Any discussion? Yep, Councilor Phil.
Attorney Lamanna, is the monetary compensation on behalf of the city or the state for the project?
I'm going to defer to Commissioner Hall, who is much more familiar.
Here, come on up to the podium for me. Thanks, Commissioner.
Good evening, folks. Andrew Hall, Lynn DPW. So to answer your question, Councilor Fields, the damages that we're paying to the residents for these easements is coming from the city coffers.
Okay. Is that assessed from the assessor's office, or is that a negotiated fee?
No, we pay an independent appraiser to appraise the value of these properties.
And there's been no opposition? I haven't gotten any phone calls or anything, like emails or anything, from the residents that are listed as part of the takings. Has anybody expressed opposition to it, or?
Nope, not to me. Nope.
None?
Not to me, zero.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Any other questions, comments? What's the wish of the council?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a second? All right, roll call.
Counsel Alanson?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Starbed?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes. Motion carries. Thanks.
Awesome,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Andy. Thank you.
Just another a notice that there's 2 other projects coming down the pike for the city. We will have to go through the same process. One is a intersection improvement, 2 intersections actually on Broadway, up by Jeunesse and Euclid, and the second is the on-street portion of the Northern Strand Bike Path. Both of those projects are paid for by the state, but will require the city to acquire the right-of-way. So I'll be back, hopefully this fiscal year, to do a real estate taking for those projects.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for that update. All right. Next item on the new business.
We have a discussion regarding Linwood's confirmatory order of taking.
Jim, you can explain this one to us, because the way it sounds, it looks like we're going into Linwood's here. So.
As the council knows, I give credit to the city council back in October, they passed a conservation restriction for Linwoods, and that same, and Lynn Water and Sewer also signed off on the conservation restriction. This will forever in perpetuity put Linwoods in a lockbox. As part of that process, a multi-year process going back to 1998, 99, I believe I first started working on it, we commissioned a title search. There was approximately 1,900 acres up at Linwoods that there were unknown owners. And despite our due diligence, we just have no idea who owned this property. With experienced title researchers, You folks had taken this property back via a vote in October, but speaking with DCR and the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, they would prefer, rather than a meets and bounds description, which was 2 or 3 pages for the vote, they would rather that the exhibit that will be filed at the Registry of Deeds references plans that have already been commissioned, and DCR and Essex Greenbelt had commissioned the preparation of plans that cost tens of thousands of dollars, is my understanding. And just to be consistent, since these plans are already on file, these plans are already referencing this is what encompasses Lynn Woods, rather than having any confusion that there may be some discrepancy between the meets and bounds detailed land description and the plans, that rather the taking be redone this evening, it's just simply housekeeping cleanup to reference the plans that are on file, rather than have a 2 separate, probably not competing, but possibly competing documents on file. So everything would be consistent. So it would be just a cleanup from the October vote. And the home rule petition for the Article 97 language it's up at the State House right now. And we had a meeting with Mayor Nicholson's staff last month. This concept, we're on track that I would say by May 1st, the conservation restriction should be set. Everything's been filed, and Lynn Woods will be protected in perpetuity. I do thank this council and congratulate this council to their commitment to the Lynn Woods.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Questions? Councilor Allingsou.
Mr. Lamanna, thank you. Before you sit down, how do you determine an unclaimed, unknown owner? I know you guys are doing diligent and finding ways. I just don't want, like, in the middle of the project, somebody will come in and sue the city, or how do you determine that?
So in this situation, unlike the Linfield Street situation, this is land that's located somewhere in the middle of Linwood. So there will be no project. It is just essentially the area that you folks and the residents of the city of Lynn think of and envision constitutes Lynn Woods. Some of that land, we don't know who owns it. Much of the land was donated to the city of Lynn back in the 1800s. Much of the land was taken by the city of Lynn forefathers, wanting to protect the reservoir when the reservoir was created back in the mid-1800s. But there was some land that wasn't, despite our title search and due diligence. There's some land that we could not identify that was either donated or taken. So we're very confident that there will be no one coming out of the woodworks. If someone were to somehow make a claim that they own a small piece of land up in Lynn Woods, the value of the property would be very, very minimal, because there's no frontage, there's no way to build upon it, there's no way to gain access to this land. So in addition to us, the city, and this was a 1.5, 2-year process where we had a third-party lawyer ready to, if need be, go to land court and say that there was nothing else he could do. He was at the DPW headquarters looking at their records, at the city clerk's office looking at their registry of deeds. So he did everything that he possibly could to identify, to see if there was any ability to own, who may have owned this at one time. And for this 1,900 or so acres, it was unable to do that. So,
thank you, Attorney Lamanna. Thank you, Mr. President.
Motion to approve. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Council Alan
Yes.
Yes, Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Council Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Council Field?
Yes.
Yes, Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Council Net?
Yes.
Yes, Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Council Walsh?
Yes. Any other new business?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye. You going?
feedback of, hey, you know, I've seen a huge